And I was duped, it seems. I duped myself into believing the American dream, that we're all created equal. I believe that document, man. That document says, everybody is equal. We're all equal under the law. I was completely duped by that. I thought that was the deal. And then all of a sudden I look around and it ain't. It is not the deal. It's you and it's us.
Welcome to Blacklist. Welcome to the watch party here behind the wheel with Assault Press Studios.
Ask anyone in America if he or she is a racist, and the vast majority will say absolutely not. So how is it that racism is such a problem in this country? We'll show you how. By telling you about something that happened in a small town in upstate New York, where all the people involved were convinced they were doing the right thing.
Yeah, my name is Edward Whaley. I go by Bo, W-H-A-L-E-Y. Every time I go through this, it brings up a whole lot of pain. It took 14 years for this thing to work its way through the court. It was the longest continually litigated civil rights case in the history of the country. Oh, okay, let's see here. Following Labor Day, the next day, I come to work and my secretary says, Bo, you got a couple of kids here who are upset. So I said, what the hell are you all doing this early? So they said, we're leaving. I said, what are you talking about? We're leaving. Where the hell are you going? We're leaving. We're out of here. We're going home. I said, three of them. I said, what the hell are you talking about?
So I was like, I gotta speak to you because I'm getting ready to go. He's like, go where? I said, go back home. He's like, what's going on? So I was like, I gotta speak to you. On the morning of September, it's the first Saturday morning in September, and I heard a knock on the door. At that point, I proceeded, being from New York City, you pretty much ask, who is it? And they say, campus security. So then I opened the door, and at first they asked me to show my hands. I'm like, show my hands for what? And I wanted to investigate a crime. And then I started asking my roommate. And he told me, it's pretty much the same experience he had.
7:30 on September 5th, we was gonna get some food and we stopped by at the cage and asked for our dorm director. And he was just coming in. So he asked us to wait for a couple of minutes so he could talk to us, So he took us to the lounge and we sat down and he explained to us what was going on, and he said he's really pissed off, that this was happening, that for them to be coming to his dorm questioning the black males, And from that he just told us it's our choice what we wanted to do, if we wanted to be interviewed by the police.
Policemen come into their rooms, knocking on the doors, checking their hands. This is what the kids said. So they said, what's going on? So I said, I don't know what the hell's going on. I said, look, we're going to go downstairs and we're going to talk to John Edmondson, who was the director of the security force on campus. So the four of us go downstairs, so we get into John's office. I said, John, what's going on? And I swear to God, John Edmondson, director of security, looked at me and he went, I'm gonna. Like Jackie Gleason, like the Jackie Gleason, the last time I seen that was on the Jackie Gleason show. And so he went, I'm gonna. And I said, oh, wow. I said, John, stop. You gotta call somebody. The boys and I got up and we left. So I'm walking across campus and I happen to see some of my black males who were in my program. So I said, hey man, what's going on? Something happened to you this weekend? And sure enough,
And he puts his hand out in front of me like this, and he's like, you can't get on the bus unless I check your hand.
so we're walking, I see another one, I call another black student over of mine, I said, yo, man, anything happen? Yeah, man.
You have to see my hands, both my skin hands. So we went to show us our hands and flip them over. And we didn't know what they wanted to see, you know. They did it so fast.
And next thing I know, I've got 8 or 9 black males who had all been accosted by the police, and these policemen had lists in their hand checking off names and shit.
I was a freshman, and that would have been 92. I noticed a police vehicle parked on the curb. As soon as I passed him, I heard the car go into gear, and he sped up the road by me. And as I got pretty close to my dorm, one of the officers asked me to come back. And so I gave them my campus ID, and he scratched at it, and he bent it a couple times, and he flipped it over, and then there was nothing. They didn't say anything, no one did anything, we're just standing there, which I assumed was my cue that I could leave. So I went through them, I kind of walked through them. They say, can you come back here? We want to see your hands. And at this point I was kind of annoyed, and I rolled up my sleeves and I showed them my hands. You know, luckily I didn't have any cuts on my hand that night, but if I did, I'm quite sure that this would be a completely different story.
It was my first or second week as a freshman in SUNY Oneonta, and I'm in the freshman dorms. And the whole week I've been kind of secluded because I wasn't used to the environment just yet. And finally, the night I decided to break the ice in a room full of people that I'd never met, you know, all of them were white. And then there was a knock at the door. They asked for Rayshawn Morris. And it freaked me out because I'm like, why is law enforcement looking for Rayshawn Morris? And it wasn't even my room. So I cooperated, showed them my hands. As if I didn't show it to them, I remember one of the officers were going to bring me out to the station. And that's the last thing I wanted. Feeling sat in the back of my mind, I kind of knew it wasn't right. And of course, everyone questioned me. And I went back in the room, was like, what was that all about? I'm like, I had no clue.
And now the kids are talking to each other because there were isolated incidents, you know, standing there discussing the fact that, you know, the same officers had done this, calling the coach, man, who's got a team in Lafayette, Pennsylvania, to check on his players to see if any of them got cuts.
We played a game, a soccer tournament there in Pennsylvania, when the coach came to me and said, Derek, I'm going to tell you something, but I don't want you to get too panicked. I just want you to be calm about it. I said, no problem. And he told us that there's something happening in school, and they have all the blacks on the list, and things might not be the same when we get back.
And we got word that the cops had actually called the coach, telling him to check all of the black players' hands to see if they had any cuts or scratches. And the coach, he was on our side. He told them no, he's not going to do that.
The state police told them, well, if you don't do it here, we'll get the boys when they come back. So anyway, the coach went and told the kids that, you know, when they go back to expect this.
I went to the payphone to call my parents. Plainclothes cop got by the phone booth and just was standing there. He pulled me and he said, can I ask you some questions? I was like, well, who are you? He said, well, can I see your hands? He took my name and my address. So on my way back home, I lived probably like 5 blocks from the payphone. Cops again.
I was walking on Main Street, going home, with my hands in my pocket, and there was a cop car behind me. At this time, my feelings was the cops wanted to know if I had a cut on my hand. So I took my hands out of my pocket to let them know I didn't have no scar or no bandage, and eventually the cops turned off. So, to be honest, I was very devastated about the whole matter because at times I was just panicked. I didn't know how to react when I would confront a cop.
So I'm going to myself, what the hell? So I ease away from the crowd and I go back to the office. So the phone rings.